In our first story, this year's mid-year review will only be a statement and not a half-year budget. Ken Ofori-Atta will, however, not come under a motion since it's a statement he's going to make. It means MPs can only contribute and not debate.
Speaker, your committee also took into account that a former communication from the Finance Ministry that the mid-year budget review will be presented on the 27th of July, that's Thursday, 27th of July, 2023, instead of the Tuesday, 25th of July, as announced by the Business Committee.
This is the current position of the majority as presented by the Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Habibi Dresu. It will be the major government policy statement after going to the IMF. MPs are expecting that Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will have enough comment made on the mid-year review.
I've observed that in recent times, 2 days even after a budget statement is made or the mid-year budget is presented, members still do not have hard copies of the statement. And I realized in the Chief Parliament, copies were made available to members of Parliament before the presentation is done. Or at least the very day the presentation is going to be done, we are given copies.
The Speaker entreated on the House and the Business Committee to present the mid-year review on 25th. It was in that regard that last week's business statement, we were all informed that the mid-year budget statement was going to be presented on the 25th of this month. Then only today for you to bring it back. Speaker, this is a very important mid-year review post-IMF program. Members are not privy to the MEFP or the TMU. So, Speaker, the mid-year review will contain this important information.
If we want the minister to come here by way of a motion, which motion will require a full debate, we should say so. But when we mix up the rules, we miss the fundamental jurisprudence that guide us as a house. And that is where I have a problem.
Meanwhile, governance consultant Professor Bafo Agyemangua says although the public is very interested in the case, comment should be circumspect since the former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah is only a suspect in this stage. Now, equally, he criticized President Akufo-Addo for always shielding his appointees even when they go wrong.
Satisfaction, disenchantment of the public with the way public resources has been managed over the years and all. So I wasn't surprised at all of the public reaction. But I think the special prosecutor hesitated a bit because once it came out, certainly the suspicion of corruption is quite great. But coming out this time, I think it's okay. But see, there's one thing all of us should also take into account. Madam Dapaah has not been convicted of any crime. Nonetheless, her action has provoked this, and rightly so. Because as I said, our economy is not doing well. People have lost money. So when it comes out that a public official has the capacity to store that much money in the house, naturally, everybody will be upset. And that's what's happening. The president has been consistent in the way he reacts to issues concerning his appointees. So this, again, didn't come to me as a surprise. But in this particular case, it was a little bit very awkward for me to read that statement. Now, you and I, we don't know the legitimacy of that amount. That's why I'm saying we should not rush in making conclusions. So he should have used this occasion to put his appointees on notice rather than expressing confidence in Madam Dapaah being exonerated. I think he didn't do himself too good. Again, that's why some people are, again, not happy that the president has not come out strongly to use the occasion to condemn corruption and theft in public life. He should have done better in that respect.
Now, a leading member of the ruling MPP and a political scientist, Dr. Amakoba, has criticized President Akufo-Addo for vouching for the integrity of the former Sanitation Minister, Cecilia Dapaah, following a $1 million scandal. Now, according to Dr. Ba, the president should have shown interest in questioning the source of the money instead of the subtle praise singing. He told William Evans Inkum.
Where did she get that kind of money from? That's the pertinent question. Where did it come from? And the Special Prosecutor, Attorney General should ask that question. We were here when Victoria Hammer was fired. This one was not fired, he resigned. And the president said she's sure her integrity will be displayed or whatever. How? So you wish her well, that's okay, say that. But don't tell us you're sure her integrity will be restored. From what evidence? The person who has money under her bed at home, that's the person you are defending without any evidence? Why? She should defend herself before you say, okay, it's good. Ahead of time, where did the money come from? That's the question the president is supposed to ask. Not praising her and hoping that her integrity is restored. She is the number one law enforcer, and that's a pertinent question to be asked. Where did she get that kind of money from?
Let's do some more stories now. And Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has revealed that more armored bullion vans have been brought into the country to help reduce the rate of robbery attacks on the banks. Now, answering questions at the Monetary Policy Committee press conference in Accra, he said that the Interior Ministry will soon release the newly acquired vans. Now, according to the governor, a lot of banks are complying with the directive following the July 1 deadline for all financial institutions to procure armored bullion vans.
Complying. There are standard operating procedures on how money is moved, and between the banks and the police and ourselves, we have issued guidelines on how they should go about, these things. Ideally, there should always be a police escort. A lot of armored vehicles have been procured by the banks. I cannot tell you the exact numbers, but a lot. The Ministry of Interior has to give approval for them to import. I've seen a lot of clearances from the Ministry of Interior.
Let's do some politics now. The New Patriotic Party regional and constituency executives who intend to contest in parliamentary primaries in constituencies with sitting members of parliament have up to September 20 to resign. Metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives are also not eligible to contest in constituencies where the party has sitting MPs. Now, the decision was taken by the National Council of the party.
Statement issued on Monday after the National Council meeting on Thursday, July 20, indicated that all aspiring presidential candidates would be given the validated album for the Special Electoral College at least 1 month to the date of the Congress. An elections committee has therefore been constituted to supervise the conduct of the Special Electoral College and the National Congress. The Council also took a serious view of some comments and utterances it described as unhealthy from some aspiring presidential candidates and their supporters, which it said do not augur well for the unity and cohesion of the party, and asked the aspirants to comply with the Code of Conduct or risk being sanctioned, including being disqualified from contesting in the primaries. The statement also noted that the photo album or register that was used to elect the constituency executives between April 22, 2022 and May 2, 2023 shall be the same album that will be made available to the Electoral Commission for the conduct of the presidential primaries. The NPP Special Electoral College is scheduled for August 26 to be held at each of the 16 regional capitals.
Still on politics, a leading member of the ruling New Patriotic Party and a political scientist, Dr. Amakoba, has described the latest decision by the National Council of the party to prevent metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives from contesting sitting MPP members of parliament as an injustice and an illegality. He spoke to William Evans-Inkum.
Constitution. They cannot do that. They don't have the authority to just unilaterally say what they want and everybody is supposed to follow them. This is a constitutional provision. Everyone in this country of age has a right to contest an election if he qualifies. Nowhere does it say except MMNCs and we cannot contest an MP. This is corruption. It is corruption because the MPs want to entrench themselves. if somebody brings a petition, you have to look at the merits of the petition, not to put us aside and say, this is what we want to do. You didn't bring any petition. The superdelegates, did they bring any petition? Those who brought a petition are there. Now suppose it was 10-0, they all agreed to do it in one venue. Would they have said what they said?
Let's head to the Ashanti region now, where the Ashanti Regional Police Command has commenced an investigation into circumstances that led to the death of a resident of Asawasi Guru. Salahuddin died shortly after he was arrested in a police swoop operation meters away from his home on Sunday, July 23. The family of the deceased claimed that the police manhandled their relative and left him to die. A report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Friends and relatives of Salahuddin didn't know he would return home alive when he stepped out to buy groundnuts in the early hours of Sunday. The 35-year-old's life was taken when he got caught up in a police swoop. An autopsy report stated the cause of death as splenic rupture, blood in abdominal organ, and blunt force trauma, that is, injury of the body by forceful impact or physical attack. Friends and families are accusing the police of Salahu's death.
If you have arrested somebody and then the fellow, maybe something happened to him, the first thing you have to do is you have to take him to the hospital. If he comes normal, then whatever the case is you can do. We want justice. Because
the police came for a swoop to arrest drug addicts in the area. Everybody was running, and our friend also attempted to run but slipped and fell. The police stepped on his abdomen and raped several times before handcuffing him.
Some irate youths stormed the Asawasi police station and vandalized properties following the death of their friend. But with the deployment of the reinforcement team, calm was restored. Leadership of the community have pleaded with the angry youth to calm down, as the regional police command has assured them of thorough investigations into the matter.
This is one of them that have gone. Actually, there will be a lot of problem, issue. So we as a leader, we have to come in and talk to them.
What has happened is unfortunate, but we leave it to Allah. The police has assured us to investigate the matter, and we expect justice to be delivered. We plead with the youth not to take the law into their hands.
The deceased has since been buried in accordance with Islamic rites.
This is where family and friends bid farewell to their loved Salahuddin. And what they want is that never again should anyone die from such unjustifiable action. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Now, away from that, the Aircraft Accidents and Incidents Board, AIB, in Ghana, is looking for partnerships to improve safety in the sector. At the Aviation Safety Investigation Day, Acting AIB Commissioner Akwesi Prempeh asserts that the Bureau's responsibility of analyzing accidents would yield its intended outcomes if airline operators and others promptly provide pertinent and adequate information.
The Ghana Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation Bureau, AIB, is committed to upholding aviation safety standards and ensuring reliable and secure air travel. Since 2020, the AIB has investigated over a dozen incidents, including one international flight, showcasing their commitment to ensuring secure skies. The Bureau plays a critical role in identifying potential safety risks and implementing preventive measures, providing valuable recommendations for necessary action by the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority.
We need to collaborate more. Without collaboration, yes, incident may happen. Airline operator may likely refuse to report. And if they don't report, meaning it can occur again. But if they report and we investigate, it prevents future occurrence.
The Bureau collaborates with stakeholders and regulatory bodies to ensure a safer, efficient aviation environment.
In doing this is allowing higher standards also for those states that not necessarily have the same level of capacities and competences that the most advanced may have.
As the country expands as a regional and international travel hub, AIB's vigilance is crucial for maintaining safe and reliable air transport reputation.
We need to be at the same level. For example, when we get to know of any new technology, we need to prompt them.
The Maiden Aviation Safety Investigation Day was on the theme Working Together for an Innovative and Sustainable Global Aviation, and attracted participants from the sub-region.
Now, despite increasing interest in Ghanaian airline operations, many applicants face challenges in obtaining licenses due to operational costs and technological expertise. Now, these stringent requirements and rigorous evaluations by the regulatory authorities have posed significant hurdles for those seeking to establish new careers.
Landscape in Ghana has been witnessing increasing interest from entrepreneurs and investors looking to venture into the airline industry. However, the process of obtaining licenses has proven to be more complex than anticipated for many hopeful applicants. Among the primary obstacles faced by aspiring airline operators are the substantial operational costs associated with running an airline. From acquiring aircraft and establishing maintenance facilities to hiring qualified personnel, the financial burden can be overwhelming, deterring many from progressing with their plans.
A lot knock on our doors. Maybe they have the money, but then when they come and then you spell out the rudiments of the game, they just fizzle out.
Additionally, lack of technological know-how has been a significant challenge for some applicants.
You need certain caliber of personnel. It's not anybody at all who can take on the position of director of maintenance in an airline or director of flight operations. But director of operations must be a pilot with some number of hours, with some kind of administrative experience in order to hold that position.
Out of the 10 domestic carriers with licenses, only 2 operate scheduled flights, with the GCAA prioritizing safety, efficiency, and international aviation standards in its decision-making process.
About 8 of them are not scheduled. Some are supporting the oil industry with helicopters. Yes, others are also operating in the country passenger, but it's also not scheduled. It's more of charters.
Now, on the international front, Israeli MPs have passed into law a highly controversial bill, despite mass protests which aimed to thwart it. Now, the law removes the power of the Supreme Court to overrule government actions it considers unreasonable. It is the first to be approved in a series of bitterly contested reforms aimed at curbing the power of courts. The planned reforms have triggered some of the biggest protests in Israel's history, with opponents warning they imperil Israel as a democracy. Now, the government argues that the measures are necessary to correct an imbalance in power, which has seen the courts increasingly intervene in political decisions in recent decades. The so-called Reasonableness Bill was approved by 64 votes to 0 after the opposition boycotted the final vote.